Hello children, and welcome to today's Bible story. I thought we'd start by looking at a map. This is the Sea of Galilee. It's good to look at the Sea of Galilee because so many things that Jesus did happened around the Sea of Galilee, either on the water or on the coastline. We know that the River Jordan comes in at the top and leaves at the bottom. And remember that John the Baptist baptized Jesus in the River Jordan. We see Jesus calling the first disciples. He called the fishermen, Peter, Andrew, James and John. They left their nets and they followed Jesus. Down here we're reminded of a story when we see a house with a hole in the roof. We're reminded of the paralysed man who was lowered through the roof to be healed by Jesus. At the top we see the town of Capernaum. It would have been on the coast. It's an important town for several reasons. It was a very busy fishing town, had a big harbour. Also, you would have seen soldiers who were garrisoned there, so you might see soldiers in the town. It was also a border town, because the border of Galilee ran all along the edges of the Sea of Galilee up to the River Jordan. That side, over here, was the region of Galilee. Now, although the Romans were in charge, the people there were also ruled by Herod Antipas. And on the other side was another region that was ruled by Herod Philip. They were brothers. They weren't the Herods of the Nativity who tried to trick the wise men. They were his sons. So we can see that Capernaum is a very important town. It's a border town, so people would have to pay taxes as they went through to other regions. So you'd see tax collectors there too. But for the fishing and the soldiers, there was one other very important reason that Capernaum is important. And that's because Jesus chose to make his home there. And I think he made a home there because it must have been a buzzing town with people coming from all over many regions, passing through with all their goods and their wares to sell further up north. So all those people would have perhaps seen Jesus, heard him preaching, perhaps seen miracles, and they would have taken those stories off into their travels. So let's leave our map for the time being. And look, we join the story where Jesus has just healed the paralysed man who'd been lowered through the roof by his friends. He's left the house and he's walking towards the shore. Many people follow him, waiting to hear what he will say, and he teaches them. As he's walking by the shoreline, he sees Levi, the tax collector, in his booth. He comes to Levi and he says, "Follow me." And Levi gets up and follows Jesus. It was later that day that Jesus and Levi were sitting and eating and drinking with some of Levi's friends. There would have been other tax collectors and other people. And in those times, somebody like Jesus, who was a rabbi and a teacher, would not have had a meal with people who were considered bad. Nobody liked the tax collector. People probably remembered a time when they could move about the country and buy things and sell things without having to pay lots of taxes. And some tax collectors were bad because they kept some of the money for themselves. Maybe they were building a big house or they wanted some nice clothes. But we see here that Jesus and Levi are having a good talk and enjoying the evening, when along would come the scribes and the Pharisees. They saw Jesus eating and drinking with sinners, with people who do bad things, and they were not happy. So they go to the disciples and they say, "Why is Jesus eating and drinking with sinners, with people who do wrong?" Jesus heard this and he turned and said, "A healthy person doesn't need a doctor. Only a sick person needs a doctor. and I have not come for the righteous, but I have come for sinners. What Jesus was saying was, I haven't come for people who think they are good. I've come for people who know they are bad, and they need to follow me. When Levi met Jesus along the Sea of Galilee, he left everything behind. He left his job and his security, but he knew in his heart that he needed Jesus, and he followed him straight away. He would later become called Matthew, but he would stay a disciple of Jesus for the rest of Jesus' earthly ministry. So now we must leave our Bible story today, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. So let's have the children's song, My God is So Big. And don't forget to do the actions at home.